Rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Living in
That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
These are the sorts of things that we should talk about right in the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Started giving people free quotes.
In sunshine and rainbows, it is
Definitely a thing for just being a solo
The
operator.
change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
So, Jordan, we want to talk about your equipment, and I've heard you've got one of the largest. You got a big Cox, I believe.
I do, a big yellow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a recent.
Are we?
That's a recent purchase, actually. That was after speaking to the accountant and saying, "Hey, you need to spend some money before this end of financial year." So I went out and bought the new 61-inch Cox Turf One. Yeah.
They are a solid machine, and I've heard people say good and bad things about them, but everybody says they are built really heavy and solid.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing was my local dealer that I deal with they sell the Cox, and that was probably the biggest selling point for me, is that I know I've got the support there. But It is a very well built mower. It's contractor proof almost. I'd say it's a big heavy duty mower.
And you probably got that at a really good price, which means if you were to replace that with what Cox is selling now, you'd be moving to the right ZXT, which you've seen Kyle Kilgallen running around on. Yeah,
well, actually, Jordan Merritt, who you interviewed, he has got one of them too, the 72-inch. And that's that. To me, that was a whole nother stepping stone.
So is Jordan's the stand-up or the sit-down?
His is the stand-up.
Okay. So Kyle's now going for the sit-down, which is the ZXT. So the ZXT.
Didn't know they were in Australia until he posted a picture of one. So there you go.
I think it's the first one in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're a sweet-looking machine too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So when you purchased the Cox, was a big move for you. You're saying you had to talk to your accountants beforehand, work out whether it's valuable.
Yeah, I think the biggest decision was my current equipment didn't cater for acreage. I could probably get up to an acre size property. Anything outside that was very uncomfortable and just not profitable.
So what size ride-on were you using before you went to 61?
I had a 34-inch. So I got that.
It must seem like a toy when you go from that.
Oh, it's crazy the difference. Night and day.
But for those small properties, the 34-inch would be a time saver over the push.
And that was the reason for going for that size mower, is it can fit through your single access gates, which I've got a lot of properties that are single access gates.
So 900 wide or less.
Yeah. And then that mower, just the amount of time it saves you, and just fatigue, not having to push a mower all day. It makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, massive difference.
But then you try and put that on a 2-acre property, and you're there forever. So I kind of had to make that decision. Do I want to start attacking a different line of work as well, which is acreage? I enjoy mowing big open areas. So I thought, you know what, I'll take the plunge and I'll give it a go.
Yeah. So do you offer your acreage customers complete packages as well?
I don't at the moment. We sort of limit it to it's probably an 800-meter block would be like
the biggest one,
the upper end.
That makes sense.
We don't really have the equipment to be applying on those larger size blocks. It'd be another leap again to sort of upgrade all the equipment to be able to cater for that.
Yeah, it really is a massive difference to go up to those acreage properties if you're starting applications.
Yeah, and I think our acreage is, it's not keeping up with the Jones kind of properties. It's just they enjoy a big block, and as long as the grass is short, they're happy.
Yeah.
So, not saying there's not a market for it, but it's just not something I've looked into.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay. So, but you are picking up some acreage work with that machine now?
Yeah, it's starting to get a few hours on it. I also use it on my commercial property, which has again saved the amount of profit that it's earned in that job. Just going from a 34 to a 61,
Yep.
you're doing, and it's twice as quick, so you're doing 4 times as much cutting in the
Yeah.
same amount of time.
People don't get that. When you go from a push mower to a ride-on mower, you're moving quicker as well as cutting wider.
Yeah.
So you go from a small ride-on to a big ride-on, you are moving quicker and cutting wider.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this. It's almost twice as wide, but it's twice as quick. So yeah, you're cutting 4 times the amount of grass in the same amount of time. It's crazy the amount of time it saves.
Let's just compare this, and it doesn't hit until you actually do it. But if you took your push mower, 21-inch mower, and 4 kilometres an hour is the average walking pace, you might be doing a little bit more if your Toro, is it self-pace, actually is going full speed.
Personal pace, yep.
Pace. If it's going full speed, you might be doing 6 kilometres an hour, but normal walking pace, 4 kilometres an hour and 21 inches wide, right? So if you jump onto an average ride-on mower, 34 inches wide, so it's 1.5 times the width and probably does 8 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
Then you go from that to 61 inches wide and, correct me, but I'm guessing 20 odd kilometres an hour.
Yeah, they reckon it can cut up to 22 kilometres an hour. I mean, it depends on what that might be a little bit uncomfortable at times, but it can do it. On the flat grounds, it can definitely do it.
So it's more than twice the width, more than twice the speed.
Yeah, and so it's crazy, the difference.
Yeah, so it really makes a massive difference.
Yeah, and I think that's where you sort of, like, how I look at it is I price per acre as opposed to like a time thing, which you're doing that with a smaller mower and you're not as profitable as if you can do it in a quarter of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it kind of looks more appealing to the customer if you're pricing it at an acre price point.
Well, at the end of the day, customers are going to look at how much value they get. And if they see you doing a lot of work and they're not paying too much for it, they think they're getting good value. But if they see you doing no work and they're paying a lot for it, they start questioning that. So if you can break it down in a way that's about the area, then they know that they're paying per square meter or per acre or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what your equipment looks like.
Yeah, that's it. And it's relative. I think if they want to chase another quote, they might say, "Oh, what's the price per acre?" as opposed to, "What's your hourly rate?" I hate that question. What's your hourly rate? But if they might say, "Hey, and if it's relative, then they don't care how quick you do it. It's if you do a good job and it's the same price, then they'll go with it.
That's right. And I find you need to have a couple of per acre prices. So one is for just mowing, one is if you've got a lot of obstacles and edges that need doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try and sort of push towards the all-inclusive, obviously, because I'll have an employee with me in the truck most days.
Yeah. And you don't have two 61-inch mowers.
No, I don't. And him sitting around twiddling his thumbs won't make me money. That's right. But I think up here too, a lot of them, they do want everything. They don't want the long stuff around their trees, and we have a lot of properties with horses and stuff. They don't want the spraying around and stuff like that. So
I was going to say you could send your employee out with the knapsack and spray.
And he definitely does do that. But I think we sort of try and when we do our quotes, we push for it's going to look a lot better. If we're doing the full package, and you'd be surprised, a lot of them, it's not the price, it's the quality that they're facing, or the reliability is a massive one. If as long as you show up, they're happy to pay the money.
I've been doing some fence line spraying recently, and there's a place for it. Yeah,
absolutely, and like with everything, there's a place for it. But my big thing is, if I can make more money out of each client, then that's a benefit to me. It's a benefit to the growth of the business.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of your equipment, because we can't just talk about your big yellow machine.
Yeah, that's it.
So what's the size trailer you're running on the back of your truck now?
So it's a 10x6 trailer. It's got tailgate ramps like inbuilt into it, all alloy. So they're very light. They're spring.
Does it run any tool racks for carrying other gear, or do you keep all that on the truck?
No, so I did have the equipment defender on the truck. That's transitioned to the trailer now.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got a large toolbox on the side which can carry heaps. The truck now is predominantly, just bits and pieces, some green waste, and I've got two toolboxes on the side which hold all our hedges and our hand-held equipment.
Yep. Nice. Okay, so you've got the trailer, you got the Cox. When you start getting into the smaller equipment, what do you run for your push mower nowadays?
So predominantly we're using the Massport Pro Power.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was kind of I got stuck with a broken mower and I bought that just to get us out of trouble because it was one of the only mowers available. And it's actually been a really good mower, so
Yeah, okay.
I can't fault it.
It's not as common as some of the other ones like the Hondas and whatever, but yeah, it's
No,
certainly
it's not.
good.
And like
Very
I
decent.
know the contractor version's very popular, but it's also very
Oh, good.
yeah, the contractor version is very popular, but it's also a very heavy mower.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, the local shop also didn't have one, so I sort of got stuck with that's what I had to have, and that's what we've got.
Yeah, so you've been happy with the Pro Power.
Yeah, it's been a very good mower. Our secondary mower is the Cox Professional self-propelled mower.
Yeah, they rate really well too.
Yeah, I mean, like everything, they have their pros and cons. They're a very heavy machine, but
Yeah.
they do a good job. It's all just sort of what you want.
Yeah, nice.
And my biggest thing is dealer support. So I buy my equipment from where I know I'm going to be looked after.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing is you can go buy something that's flash and does all the stuff, but if something goes wrong with it and you can't take it anywhere, then
Yeah.
it's no good to you.
Yeah, having a local dealer that looks after you is well worth supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very big asset to a business is having that support.
So I think you mentioned earlier on a little bit about battery gear. So you've switched over to some battery gear.
Yeah, so well, to be honest, I started out with battery handheld gear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did mention that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just never interested in trying to swing around a petrol hedger. It's just it's too noisy, too heavy.
Yep.
So I did a little bit of research on that, and I ended up going with the Makita gear just because their hedges rated very well.
Yes.
And then I kind of just built off that platform. I had the batteries. I had
36 volt?
36 volt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just built off that. I had all the batteries already. So I've sort of just stuck with that. I have sort of had thoughts of trying to push for some battery powered whippersnippers. I just run the steel whippersnippers at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
Just the
Which whippy you're running with the still? Is it the 94?
the 91.
91, so the 4 mix.
Yeah. So we run every day. We've got 2 on the trailer because it's bound that one won't start.
Yep.
So we've got that, and then we've just got their combi. Is it the 94? I think.
Right.
The 2-stroke. So yeah, and then we just run out our stick edger and whatever other little bits of gear off the combi.
Yeah, okay.
That just sits on the trailer for when we need it, essentially.
Yeah, okay. Good stuff.
But yeah, we've toyed with. I've toyed with the idea of trying to go to battery whippersnippers as well, but it's just sort of taking that dive again into a platform of new batteries and the initial expense to get the runtime out of what we would need.
Yeah, the runtime on whips is really important. And looking at the different brands that are around, I think particularly the Makitas, I think you're going to struggle with runtime unless you go up to their 40 volt platform.
Yeah, like I've got one that I use around home, the Makita whip, and I would not even think about putting it in the back of the truck. It's okay for a home user, but that's it.
Well, I've got the Makita 36 volt blower, and it's a phenomenal machine for what it is, but 12-minute runtime.
Yeah, and that's the problem is like because we actually just use the 18 volt blower.
Yeah.
And we run the BR800 backpack if we need anything
Yep.
with a bit more oomph. But I find that, the run time's not very great, but we've got enough batteries sort of sitting there that we can afford to run through them.
Yeah, fair enough. So, I think if you start looking at outside of Makita, you've got some pretty good run times on handheld blowers elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think easily 25 minutes to 45 minutes runtime on handheld blowers. But when it comes to whippersnippers, we're both having a cough. Yeah, when it comes to battery-powered whippersnippers, it's hard to find one that's got a decent runtime. And I've played with quite a few of them, but the average whippersnipper will be somewhere around half hour to 45-minute runtime if they're doing reasonably well.
Yeah, that's it. And my biggest concern about up in Townsville is it gets very hot. And if you've got those batteries sitting in your toolbox or wherever they're sitting, you're going to reduce that runtime massively.
Yep.
So that's one of the biggest things that sort of prevented me from it. But it's always sort of in the back of my mind. I would like to transition eventually to a platform. It's just making sure I pick the right one.
You need an insulated esky for your batteries up there.
Yeah, well, I actually just saw, was it Husky have brought out a fan-cooled charging station.
Yeah, that looks interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, so
I think it's about $700 for 4-battery charging station that's air-cooled.
yeah, so I mean, and it also charges your battery, so it gives you that you don't have to have a setup on your rig to charge your batteries.
Well, I think that still requires 240-volt.
Okay, does it? That's sort of defeats the purpose then.
Yeah, so it's not built-in battery supply. It requires 240-volt, I believe.
Yeah, okay, that changes it all then.
Yeah, happy to be corrected on that. But if you've got a decent setup on your trailer or your truck, you could set up so that you could charge from that. Get a decent battery system in there and keep going.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah.
A lot of people have been asking about which brand of battery tool to buy, and I don't like to recommend one brand of battery for everyone or every situation. Dealer support and access to parts and service all play a big role in that decision. Some brands have better tools for specific needs or each product category. I've been using a variety of brands, and I endeavour to provide unbiased interviews on Aussie Lawn Stars with as many of those product brands as possible. I reached out to Ego Power Plus through the podcast because of how Barry supports the industry and Ego owners. Barry has impressed me with his loyalty to customers in providing support and listening to the needs of the industry, which has resulted in a full lineup of new commercial tools landing in Australia over the last 12 months that has positioned Ego as a leader in the commercial tool space for outdoor power equipment. Visit egopowerplus.com.au to see if they have the tools you need today.
Again, with technology as it advances, the batteries are only going to get better. So,
well, I was looking at LMCA this week. The topic of charging on your vehicle came up.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are going, "No, it's not worth it. Just better off buying more batteries."
Yeah, it gets expensive though.
Well, I think that makes more sense in a lot of ways to just have more batteries and then charge them all at home.
Yeah, well, that's all I do. I've got a crate in the truck. They get put in. And it gets brought inside at the end of the day, and they get thrown on charge.
Yeah. So you need a multi-battery charging station at home so that you can do that without having to keep on going back to check on it.
Yeah, well, I've actually lucky enough that all the kits that I've bought, I've been given all the chargers. So I've just got a desk next to the PowerPoint setup, and they just all go on at once, and I just get up in the morning, take them all off. So I don't have to go and swap them out. It's just all on, all off.
Yeah, that's the way you want it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd end up forgetting to charge half of them.
But yeah, if you do switch to charging en route, then you basically need, and I was saying I've got a 2.2 kilowatt Blue Eddy in the back of my ute.
Yeah.
And I can charge from it, and I've got a solar system that will keep up so that it will do all right.
Yeah.
But even that, it's a lot of load on 2.2 kilowatts of battery to be cycling it to charge your kit batteries.
Yeah, absolutely. I've found, for me, as sort of a last resort, if I got to that stage, is I've got a fast charger permanently in the truck.
Yeah.
So if I get towards, I've only got 2 batteries left, I'll just throw a couple on charge on a property for an hour, and that's enough to sort of to get us by.
And that's quite reasonable with most places now. If you tell them you need to plug a charger in while you're there working, they will not have a problem with that.
No, I don't think I would ever have a customer that would have an issue
Yeah.
with plugging a charger in. Like it's getting the batteries are getting used on their property.
That's it.
The cost to charge a battery is negligible. So
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think that's another viable way of doing it. I think going back to what I was saying, my system's about 2.2 kilowatts, and I think realistically, if you're doing a lot of charging, you probably want more like 6 kilowatts, 5 or 6 kilowatts, or even more
yeah,
in your reserve system on your vehicle.
yeah, and then you're looking at a big system to.
Yeah, the cost goes up. So you're probably talking $5,000 to $10,000 starting point to get.
Yeah, that's it. And with that money, you can just go out and buy
more batteries.
Enough batteries to last you the day. And
That's
it's
right.
one of those things. Yeah, right. The initial blow to the cost of the batteries is big, but once you've got them, it might be adding a battery here, a battery there. It's not. You're never going to have to do that big purchase of batteries again.
I think the other factor that comes in there, if you are running 2 batteries and you're cycling those 2 batteries all day, which I've done, you might be lucky to get 1 or 2 years out of those batteries if you're just cycling them through your tools all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Not giving them any rest.
If you're running 20 or 30 batteries because you've gone down that route of just buy more batteries, then you might get 10, 15 years out of all of your batteries before you need to start going, oh, these batteries are starting to wear out because they're not going through as many cycles per battery per day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by the time you'd have to worry about it, the technology would be so much different. That would be what you'd be changing for rather than the life of your battery.
So I guess what I'm saying is basically all you're doing when you buy more batteries is pre-ordering more fuel.
Yeah, essentially, you've pre-purchased your fuel for however long they last. And I think eventually we'll get to a point where we are only essentially using battery gear. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I think we're already headed that direction, but I do think the bigger tools are prohibitively expensive, and they may stay that way.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at having to move a lot of grass or like a backpack blower, it's either not going to have the power, it's not going to have the runtime. There's sort of no compromise to that. That's what it is.
I think we'll get backpack blowers that achieve what we need, but it's whether they come in at a price point and usable that makes it worth it. But when it comes to your zero turns and your stand-on mowers, yeah, they're available, but are they reasonable for the everyday contractor to purchase a $50,000 to $75,000 mower?
Well, that's it. If I can go out and I can buy 3 petrol mowers for the same price as one, then what's going to earn me more money? If I can put three employees sitting on a mower each, that's going to earn me more money than one sitting on an electric mower. Yes, you've got savings there, but I don't think the savings would outweigh the potential earnings.
The people that are buying the big zero turns that are battery operated at the moment are the people who have environmental policies that require it. So councils, those sort of places. And the councils are going, yep, spend the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose like certain contracts that might be, you don't have a choice. If you want the contract, that's what it is. And I suppose that's a road you've got to go down when you get there.
Yeah. But yeah, there's more and more of these mowers coming out at the moment. So I guess watch this space and see if it becomes more reasonable for the everyday contractor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like same with stand-on mowers, that's where the big focus was to improve the stand-on mowers, and everything else will just sort of get left behind and forgotten. And the technology will be focused on whatever's new and whatever's going to be the future.
Yeah. So I'm curious what other equipment you've got at the moment. Do you run your own scarifiers, aerators and bits and pieces, or do you hire them when you use them?
No, so we took the plunge and we purchased it all. It just wasn't worth having to do those hire fees so often.
Yep.
And so we actually run the WeBang Scarify and Cora.
Yep.
Which
they're pretty good value, those ones.
They are. They're sort of like an entry level equipment.
Yep.
that offered at half to a third of the price of, the top end equipment. So for me, it was more of a, I'll take the leap and we'll do these packages and we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we haven't spent 3 times more than we should have. And if it all goes well and the way that I'm hoping it does, then that'll be the upgrade. It'll be all right. Now we can justify that purchase. It's not just going to sit in the shed and look good.
Yeah, that's it. So I think for small properties, those mid-range tools are really good. If you're doing a lot of higher-end work with sports fields or something like that, that might change.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're on like golf courses and stuff, then it's not going to cut the mustard. But
just because of the sheer amount of work that it's required to do.
That's it. And just they're heavy machines. It's a workout. You wouldn't want to be throwing it around all day. But I suppose I had to make a choice, and the choice was this will do me until I find out if it's a sustainable approach to the business. I didn't want to spend a heap of money and then find out that it doesn't work. There's no market for it. And then I've just got all these tools that I can't do anything with.
Yep, fair enough. And I think it's proving itself pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got a good workout on my lawn. I'm just itching for, reno season now.
Yep, fair enough. That'll be interesting to see how you go coming out of that next reno season.
Yeah, it'd be good. It's a time to reset and sort of get everything and really prove yourself, I suppose. And that's where I sort of want to really prove myself to, people look across the road and go, I want my lawn to look like that. That's sort of where I'm trying to take the business is that direction. So
yeah, now that'll be interesting to talk to you after about November and just see how worn out you are.
Yeah, that's it. If I've broke my back.
And see how those customers are feeling after those lawns come back from that first reno.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few that are very excited to sort of see the results. They've already started to see them just with, and that's coming over winter and the non-growing season. So they're all as excited as I am to jump on board and see what happens.
Yeah, awesome. So have you got any other tools that we haven't talked about we need to mention?
Other than the truck would be the biggest one for me. Like if you've got the suburbs and stuff to have a truck, like you're silly not to. That's sort of my next purchase. Hopefully, will be a new truck. It's just I see so much value in them.
It's interesting to talk to different people that run trucks because people have different ideas about what a truck will mean, whether it means they're not running a trailer or whether it means that the truck gives them more space or easier parking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's certain places and cities that you couldn't drive a truck around. Like you'd struggle to park a ute in some places. But up here, like I think Tyrone, who you were speaking of earlier, he's got a truck set up with no trailer, and his setup is awesome. It suits what he does, and but for me, for what I'm sort of set up for, is the truck and trailer was the best option for now. I have the ability to take the trailer off and go up the hills and do the hedging jobs that take all day. I don't have to cart the trailer around. So it sort of gives me that variety. Yeah.
So is your truck on a car license?
It is, yes. So it falls on a car license, which is quite handy.
Yeah, I think most people head that direction, stay with a car license. So I think, is it under 6 ton?
Don't quote me on the... all I know is mine falls like 10 kilos under what the allowable weight is.
Fair enough.
They're right on the cusp. They actually, when you ring for insurance, they've got to go through all the underwriters and check, oh, yep, that's a car license. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So it gives you the maximum allowable load, but keeping it possible for your employee to drive it as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that'll be how I vision it. Is I'll probably stick with the car license because obviously most people have a car license. Trying to find someone with a truck license might come a bit difficult at times. So I think keeping it sort of as easily manageable as possible is sort of a good approach.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours having a chat at the moment. It's been good.
Yeah, it goes quick, eh?
Yeah, sure does. But I'm curious what you're thinking in the future. We've sort of talked about it already, and given you've only been in business for a couple of years now, I guess it's anyone's guess what 5 years' time will look like. But are you like I know you've made great changes to your business already. Have you got big plans for change, or just sort of refining what you're doing and making it stronger?
Yeah, at the moment, it's like, I mean, like you said, that can all change 6, 12 months down the track, could
Yeah,
completely do a flip. But at the moment, my focus is just really trying to fine tune that annual value.
yeah,
So I want to try and have all clients at least 7,500 a year,
yep,
which that's my big focus, to push that, push everyone onto sort of a total lawn care package, so that all our jobs that we go to, that's what they are.
yeah,
Um, I just want to make for an enjoyable workplace. People come to work for you and they enjoy going to work every day. They're not having to do the yuck jobs that I never wanted to do when I started. Um,
yeah.
just
Yeah, that, and we didn't really touch on this a lot at the start, but you spent a lot of time working with employees, managing employees when you were working for the government.
yeah,
So you would have, you probably would have beat yourself up with your first two employees walking out, but you would have put a lot of thought into how to keep employees happy and what it takes to make sure that they want to stick around.
yeah. And to be honest, I'm still learning. It's a hard thing when you're looking after someone else, essentially, like you're
Yeah,
responsible for their earnings.
that's it.
I sort of want to have a workplace where you provide that quality workplace, quality work, profitable, so that everyone just enjoys coming to work.
Yep.
Have the ability to take on inexperienced workers and teach them, mentor them. Have
Yeah.
those more experienced operators that can sort of take them under their wing and show them the ropes and just improve the whole industry, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a good industry, and I'm sort of happy that I'm here, but wish I had done it sooner.
Fair enough. I think one of the things that, and the reason I do this podcast is for this reason, one of the things I've come to the conclusion of is that introducing other people to the industry as an employee or starting their own business, I'm passionate about helping people to actually get what they want from the industry, whether they are an employee or whether they're a contractor in their own right. And
Yeah.
I expect a lot of people who will come into the industry as your employee will be thinking in the back of their mind, should I run my own business or should I work for Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's always going to be a challenge. Is um, you'll get those people that think, oh, why should I do this for X amount of dollars when I can go and mow these lawns myself? But um, there's people that they don't want that stress. They want to come to work, they want to get paid, and they want to go home. If you can provide that enjoyable workplace and they have no reason to leave, then there probably won't even be a thought.
Well, I think the difference there is outside of our control.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So people want to be employees and people want to run their own business. And the only thing you can do is to make sure that when they are an employee that they enjoy that experience. And as long as that you're ticking that box, some of them will want to move on, some of them won't.
And that's it. And I think, like, I have no dramas in sort of like my current employee. He's sort of, in X amount of years, I might go out and I'll do, and it's educating them, like, this is what's involved and
Yeah.
and this and that, and they might go, oh yeah, no, that's not for me,
Yeah.
or they might go, yeah, I'm all for it. there's
Yep.
like if that's the direction they want to go, then I'm happy for them to do it. It's just making sure that they don't make the decision, I suppose, off a whim and then go, that wasn't the right one.
Yeah. Well, I think most people are going to be happier being an employee than taking on the stress of running a business.
Absolutely. I think that was one thing that I sort of didn't understand, didn't expect, was the amount of stress that, and just all the paperwork and everything that comes with it. It's like not getting paid, having to chase your invoices.
Yep.
Whereas you're an employee, you go to work, you know your paycheck's coming in
Yeah.
whatever day of the week, and that's it. You're not worried about, it's been 60 days and that invoice is still sitting there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, I think for some people it's just they're happy to come to work, get paid, and go home.
Yeah.
As long as you can provide that good workplace and somewhere that they enjoy coming, then you can hopefully keep them around for a long time.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, it's been good talking to you, Jordan.
Yeah, likewise, Gary.
I think we've given everyone a really good snapshot of what it looks like for you being in business.
Yeah, I mean, it's still very young, but and I'm sure I've still got 101 ways that I can learn and grow. But as long as I'm heading in the upwards direction, then I'm happy.
Well, that's it. And I think you've done pretty well for 2 years. So it'd be really interesting to talk to you another 2 to 5 years and see where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll stay in touch and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Yeah, and next time I'm heading up North Queensland, I'll see if I can drop into Townsville again.
Yeah, that's it. As long as you don't bring the cold with you again.
That's it. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks, Jordan.
No worries. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.